I quit my job without a plan. Here's what happened next, a 20-minute true-to-life story. I didn't quit my job on a Monday. That would have made too much sense. I quit on a Wednesday, right in the middle of the week, right in the middle of a project, right in the middle of a version of my life that looked stable from the outside and felt suffocating on the inside. The email was short. Too short for something that had taken years to build up. Please accept this as my formal resignation. My last day will be 2 weeks from today. I stared at the screen for a full minute after I sent it, waiting for panic to arrive. It didn't. What arrived instead was silence, not peace, not joy, just silence. On paper, my life was working. Good salary, respectable title, benefits, a boss who trusted me, colleagues who said things like, "Man, you're set." I used to nod when they said that. But every morning my alarm felt like a verdict. Every Sunday evening came with a familiar tightness in my chest. Every meeting felt like I was watching myself play a role I no longer believed in. The strangest part wasn't that I hated the job. I didn't. I hated what it was doing to me. I had stopped reading, stopped dreaming, stopped asking myself what I actually wanted. I lived for Fridays and recovered from Mondays. I counted vacation days the way prisoners count scratches on a wall. And one afternoon, during a meeting about a meeting that would lead to another meeting, I realized something terrifying. If nothing changed, this would be my life in 10 years. Same desk, same emails, same quiet dread, disguised as stability. That was the moment the idea formed. Not a plan, just an idea. There was no dramatic confrontation, no mic drop speech, just me, my laptop, and a pulse pounding loud enough to drown out logic. My finger hovered over send. I thought about rent. I thought about health insurance. I thought about all the people who would say, that was irresponsible. Then I thought about how tired I was of being responsible for a life that didn't feel like mine. Click. The email flew away, and with it, the version of me who always waited until he felt ready. The first day felt unreal. I walked outside on a weekday afternoon while everyone else rushed somewhere important. The sun felt different when you weren't pretending it was background scenery. I bought coffee without checking the time. I took a long route home for no reason. I smiled at strangers like I had just gotten away with something. That night, I made a list titled, "What I'll Do with My Freedom." It had big words on it. Write. Build something meaningful. Learn new skills. Start that thing I've always talked about. I slept like someone who believed the universe would figure it out for him. That belief lasted exactly 2 days. Panic doesn't announce itself. It creeps. It shows up as a harmless thought like, wait, how long can I actually survive like this? By day 3, the math started whispering. Rent, bills, groceries, time. I opened my bank app more times than I care to admit. The numbers hadn't changed, but suddenly they looked smaller. Friends started asking, so what's next? I laughed and said things like, I'm exploring options. What I meant was, I have no idea what I've done. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying every warning I had ever ignored. You should have lined something up. You should have been smarter. You're too old for reckless decisions. The silence from earlier was gone. In its place was noise. Here's something no one tells you. When you quit your job, you don't just lose income. You lose an identity. No one asks, how are you anymore? They ask, so what do you do now? And when you don't have an answer, you start wondering who you are without a job title. Mornings became strange. No alarm, no urgency, no external structure. At first, that felt like freedom. And then it felt like drifting. I realized how much of my discipline had been outsourced to my employer. Without deadlines, I procrastinated. Without meetings, days blurred together. Without pressure, motivation evaporated. I thought quitting would unlock creativity. Instead, it exposed how afraid I was of choosing my own direction. It happened in a grocery store. I stood in the aisle, staring at prices like they were personal insults. I picked up an item, then put it back. That's when it hit me. I had never been this aware of money before. Not because I was reckless, but because I had never had to think this hard about survival. In the parking lot, I sat in my car longer than necessary. For the first time, I considered going back, not to my old job specifically, but to any job that would quiet the fear. I opened my phone and almost started applying. Almost. What stopped me wasn't pride, it was a quiet question. If I go back now, will anything actually change? I didn't have an answer. But I knew I wasn't done yet. The turning point wasn't a breakthrough. It was boredom. After weeks of anxiety, my brain got tired of panicking. And that's when I started doing small things. Not because I was inspired, but because I needed structure. I woke up at the same time every day. I gave myself office hours. I set embarrassingly simple goals, not build a new life. Just write one page, learn one useful skill. Reach out to one person, no pressure to succeed, just pressure to show up. Something unexpected happened. Momentum, it wasn't big, it wasn't viral, it didn't pay much, but someone paid me for something I created. That moment changed everything. Not because of the money, but because it proved something dangerous. I could create value without permission. I wasn't waiting for a boss to approve my ideas. I wasn't waiting for a company to validate my worth. I was building slowly, imperfectly, in public and in private. Fear didn't disappear, but it stopped being the loudest voice in the room. Here's the truth people don't like hearing. Quitting without a plan didn't magically make my life easier. Some days are still hard, some months are unstable, some nights I still question everything. But I'm awake now. I choose my problems, I own my time, I feel connected to what I do. I work more, but I complain less. I earn differently, but I sleep better. The version of me who sent that email didn't know how things would turn out. He just knew he couldn't stay. Clarity often comes after the leap, not before it. Fear doesn't mean you're wrong, it means you're early. Structure matters more than motivation. Your job is not your identity, but it can hide it. You don't need a perfect plan, you need honesty and action. I'm not telling you to quit your job, and I'm telling you this, if you feel stuck, numb, or quietly miserable, listen, not to the noise, not to the opinions, not even to the fear. Listen to the part of you that knows staying forever is its own risk. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is step into uncertainty and trust yourself to learn on the way down. If this story resonated with you, save it, share it, or sit with it. Your next step doesn't have to be loud, it just has to be honest.